Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Holloway with the National Weather Service. Thanks for joining us. As always, your local weather information, watch warnings and advisories for your part of Alaska is available by dialing this 1-800 number or visiting the website listed below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at the email listed at the bottom of the page. For hazardous weather, we're going to be looking at some weather coming into the interior with some warming conditions and snowfall 4 to 7 inches over much of the YK Delta into the lower Yukon and into the central portions of the Yukon as well. And that is out until this evening, until 9 a.m. Thursday. And there are portions of a winter weather advisory out until midnight tonight for that Yukon Flats area, Fort Yukon. And lastly, on the eastern Alaska Peninsula, eastern Alaska Range, a winter weather advisory remains in effect until 6 a.m. on Wednesday. There are also some high wind warnings out there in portions of southern and central Panhandle, and those are good until 6 p.m. on Wednesday for a high wind warning. Taking a look at the satellite information, you can see a couple low pressure systems throughout the state. One out there in the eastern Aleutians, northern Bering, and that's coming in. There's another system coming into the Gulf there, to the southern end of the Gulf. There are some scattered snow showers through portions of the southern mainland and up through the Bristol Bay region, Alaska Peninsula, and into portions of the Kenai Peninsula and northern Gulf. What's this look like on the service map? There's the low in the eastern Bering, another low approaching the western Aleutians, and the low just south of the Gulf of Alaska there, 1,008 millibar low, and ridge of high pressure over the upper Yukon and into British Columbia, with some mixed precipitation down through portions of the Bristol Bay region and south of the Aleutians. And lastly, there is a stationary front over the North Slope, creating some light snow showers up there. For tonight's weather, that trough in the eastern Bering forms into a low, a 990 millibar low. The low in the Aleutians there, 988 millibar low with an occluder front, triple point there. And lastly, the low gets into the Gulf region, 995 millibar low with an occluder front and triple point. Moderate rain out ahead of that system near Kodiak Island, otherwise some lingering snow showers across much of the southern mainland and portions of the North Slope, and a trough stretched from the Yukon Territory into the eastern interior. For Wednesday, that occluded front moves and stretches further east, stretching from the western Aleutians into the central Bering, and a triple point there near Bristol Bay region. Mixed precipitation associated with that system, otherwise the low in the Gulf is now directed towards more of a panhandle system with heavy to moderate rain at the low elevations of the panhandle. Snow showers further inland and across the northern Gulf and into portions of the Cook Inlet region, otherwise light snow showers across much of the southern mainland. Freezing fog and some light snow showers across the North Slope. For Thursday's weather, mixed bag of lows and troughs and stationary fronts. There's a next low moving into the just south of the Aleutians with moderate rain, mixed precipitation associated with that. Otherwise a weak trough through the central Bering, 996 millibar low there. Otherwise stationary front now in the stretch out across the central mainland, and the low crosses the panhandle and enters Canada, 1,002 millibar low. Scattered snow showers associated with that system in the panhandle. So for low temperatures, looking at, let's see, 31 in Ketchikan, 35 in Sitka, Juneau 32, 25 in Haines, 31 in Yakutat, and then up to Valdez with 20, 14 in Anchorage, 30 in King Salmon, 33 in Kodiak, 14 in Talkeetna, 22 in Lime Village, 26 in Iliamna. Moving up to the North Slope, Kaktovik minus 34, minus 30 at Ukqiavik, minus 16 in Point Hope, minus 35 in Arctic Village, minus 23 in Anaktuvik Pass. Fort Yukon, minus 25, minus 8 in Eagle, minus 9 in Fairbanks, minus 18 in Galena. Moving down to the southwest Alaska Peninsula, Aleutians, 16 in Bethel, 24 in Dillingham, 31 in Cold Bay, 34 in Dutch Harbor, 34 in Shemya, 29 in St. Paul. Back down to the Gulf region for Wednesday afternoon, 40 in Ketchikan, 42 in Sitka, 38 in Juneau, 36 in Haines, 39 in Yakutat, 28 in Anchorage, 35 in Iliamna, 38 in King Salmon. Back up to the North Slope for Wednesday afternoon, high temperatures, minus 26 in Kaktovik, minus 22 Ukqiavik, minus 8 in Point Hope, minus 11 in Anaktuvik Pass, minus 7 in Fort Yukon, 15 in Fairbanks, 5 in Galena, 9 in Nome. Down through the southwest and Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, 34 in Bethel, 35 in Dillingham, 38 in Cold Bay, 43 in Dutch Harbor, 36 in Shemya, 33 in St. Paul. Back down to the Gulf region for low temperatures Thursday morning, 36 in Ketchikan, 36 in Sitka, 31 in Juneau, 30 in Yakutat, 25 in Valdez, 24 in Anchorage, 30 in King Salmon, 32 in Kodiak. Back up to the North Slope for low temperatures Thursday morning, minus 38 in Kaktovik, minus 34 in Ukqiavik, minus 25 in Point Hope, minus 19 in Anaktuvik Pass, minus 18 in Fort Yukon, minus 7 in Fairbanks, minus 10 in Tanana, minus 12 in Nome. For southwest region, Alaska Peninsula and Aleutians, 14 in Bethel, 30 in Dillingham, 33 in Shemya, and 30 in St. Paul. Back down to the Gulf region for Thursday afternoon, 40 in Ketchikan, 43 in Sitka, 30 in Anchorage, 37 in King Salmon. Back up to the North Slope for high temperatures Thursday afternoon, minus 27 in Kaktovik, minus 23 in Ukqiavik, minus 16 in Point Hope, minus 3 in Nome, 4 in Tanana, 11 in Fairbanks, and down through the southwest, 25 in Bethel, 42 in Cold Bay, 45 in Dutch Harbor, 36 in Shemya, 37 in St. Paul, and 20.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Taking a look at the flying weather for Wednesday morning, we'll be watching a system coming through the southwest and pull into the interior. Otherwise, IFR conditions coming across much of the southwest and into the Alaska Peninsula, and that extends over into Kodiak Island region and basically all of the western Gulf region and into portions of the northeast Gulf and northern Panhandle. Otherwise, marginal conditions across the North Slope and IFR conditions across portions of the western and central Aleutians with the next system. So for Wednesday afternoon, the system comes into the interior with IFR conditions through much of the Yukon Basin, Alaska Range, Prince William Sound region, and low pressure system coming into the Panhandle, IFR conditions there, and some marginal conditions spread across the North Slope, and the system coming in, moving eastward across the Aleutians with areas of IFR conditions across the central Bering and southern end of the Alaska Peninsula. For Thursday morning, next system gets into the southwest with IFR conditions down there, IFR conditions through much of the Yukon Basin over the Northern Sound, and areas of IFR conditions in the Panhandle, and again areas of IFR conditions across the western and eastern Aleutians, and that gets it more extensive for Thursday afternoon with the central and eastern Aleutians getting some IFR conditions there. Otherwise, IFR conditions through the Yukon Basin and down through the southwest, and possibly improving conditions across the Panhandle with areas of IFR conditions and marginal conditions throughout much of that region. Past conditions for Wednesday, Anik marginal improvement to VFR. Adigan, much the same. Most of these passes in the Alaska Range and southern mainland will be IFR, but otherwise Lake Clark and Merrill IFR, rainy IFR, windy IFR, Isabel IFR. For both windy and Isabel, you could see some improving conditions as you pop into the Tanana Basin. And for Mentasta, marginal conditions down there, Tanita IFR, Portage IFR, Chilkoot and White IFR conditions. Freezing levels for Wednesday morning, surface freezing level cuts across the Alaska Peninsula and over into the northern Gulf down through the Panhandle. Otherwise, surface freezing level comes across the southern end of the Bering Sea. Icing for Wednesday between 5,000 feet coming into the Panhandle there later in the day on Wednesday, between 5 and 10,000 feet across much of the area. And that extends over into the Kenai Peninsula, into the southwest region and upper Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, between 3 and 1,000 feet over there in the western and central Aleutians. Jet stream for Wednesday, looking at 160 knot winds coming across the central Aleutians, and that extends over into the southern end of the Alaska Peninsula with 145 knots there. Otherwise, southwestern winds across much of the mainland with 40 to 50 knots there. Otherwise, you get into 80 knots from the west up there in the eastern Brooks Range. And lastly, down in the Panhandle, winds generally from the southwest at 80 knots coming across there. And otherwise, low pressure systems out there in the northern and Bering Strait region. For 9,000 foot winds on Wednesday, looking at the Panhandle, winds coming across southerly direction, 40 to 50 knots there. Otherwise, some westerly winds coming into the YK Delta and Bristol Bay with 30 to 45 knots there. Southerly winds coming into much of the western interior. Otherwise, stronger winds across much of the Aleutians with 90 knots there in areas of the eastern Aleutians and southern and Alaska Peninsula. And for 3,000 foot winds on Wednesday, low pressure system in the Gulf region. Again, southerly winds across much of the Panhandle with 35 to 60 knots there. And light and variable across much of the mainland, but otherwise winds across the North Slope, generally from the easterly direction at 30 knots. And down there in the southwest and Bristol Bay region, winds generally from the west at 25. And you get into stronger winds as you get into the Aleutians with 40 to 45 across much of the region. And you get into stronger winds as you get into the western or eastern Aleutians and southern end of the Alaska Peninsula. Turbulence for Wednesday below 6,000 feet across much of the Panhandle into the northeast Gulf Coast with areas of isolated severe, and below 4,000 feet with areas of isolated severe in the Alaska Peninsula and central Aleutians with below 3,000.
Ahoy, Cadets, and welcome to the Okeanos Explorer. I'm Debbie, and I'm an ocean explorer. I work for NOAA, which stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Together with many other people, I work on this ship, and we explore the deep sea. How do we do that? Let's go find out.
Octonauts, let's do this. Yow!
The pressure in the ocean is so great humans can't go there, so we send a special robot. Cadets, meet Deep Discoverer, our special robot for ocean exploration. And this is Chris. He works with Deep Discoverer. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Debbie.
Can you tell us about what Deep Discoverer does?
Sure. So this is Deep Discover, and today we're going to take Deep Discover up to 4 miles down to the ocean floor so you can see what Deep Discover sees.
And how do we do that?
We do that by using these powerful cameras and powerful lights.
That's neat. And what is that?
And this is our manipulator arm, and we use this arm to take biological and geological samples that we store up front in these boxes, and so that we can bring them to the surface so scientists can analyze them.
Wow, isn't that cool, AKwx? Wow!
Wow!
Now that we know more about the special robot that explores the seafloor, let's find out more about the ship. AKwx, let's do this. Now let's find out what we do with D2's video. Come along. This is the control room. A lot of things about D2 happen in here. Behind me you see the pilots. They steer D2 on the seafloor. And over here we have scientists. Hi Steve and Stacy.
Hi, this is Steve and I'm Stacy and we are marine biologists.
Can you tell us about the work you do here?
We actually look at the videos collected by the robots and we try to identify organisms along with other scientists on the shore.
What are you looking at right now?
We're actually looking at a sea star.
That's so awesome, thank you. Now let's look at how we make maps of the seafloor.
Excellent, Quasi. A good map helps you to get to places you've never been.
We also have a scientist on board who makes maps of the seafloor. Hi Derek.
Hi Debbie.
Can you tell us about your work?
Sure. My job on the ship is to make maps of the ocean floor. We do this by sending sound from the bottom of the ship. It echoes off the seafloor and comes back to the ship. And then from that, we can make maps like this. So this is what it would look like if you were able to drain the water out of the ocean and actually see what the landscape looked like down there. We use these maps to give the vehicles a place to dive, and they explore further, just like octonauts do.
Status report, Dashi.
We're right on course, Captain.
So earlier we learned that D2 picks things up from the seafloor with his manipulator arm. Let's find out what we do with those samples. This is the wet lab, and Megan spends a lot of time here. Megan, can you tell us about your work?
I am the sample data manager, so when the ROV comes up, we go out and we collect the samples from the ROV and we bring them in here. And we try to record as much information about them as possible, everything from the details about what they look like to the environment conditions where they were found. How cold was it, for example? Then we come in and we take imagery using this microscope, and we take pictures using this camera as well. And then after we get all the pictures taken and we're ready, we prepare them for shipping to other scientists and museums so more science can be done, such as the squat lobster, this cup coral as well.
And what is that?
This is a piece of coral, or several pieces of coral, that we think might actually be a new species. So we are going to send it out for a comparison to existing species to see if we discovered something new.
Wow, you have a really cool job.
Thank you.
Fascinating. I've read about this, but I've never actually seen it.
An important part of how we explore the ocean is keeping in touch with scientists and AKwx on shore. Let's go see how we do that. Rosemary, could you tell the AKwx a little about what that dish does?
Sure. My name is Lieutenant Rosemary Abbott. I'm the operations officer aboard the Okeanos Explorer, and that is our VSAT. It stands for Very Small Aperture Terminal, and inside that satellite dome is a very powerful dish antenna that allows us to communicate with shore and share video in real time. The technology is called telepresence.
Wow, that is so interesting. Thank you, Rosemary. Now I'm getting really hungry. Let's go to the kitchen and talk about food. This is the ship's kitchen, also known as the galley. And this is Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Debbie.
Michael is the chief steward on this ship, and he keeps 49 people fed for 3 weeks at a time. Michael, how do you do that?
With a lot of care and with the help of 3 crew members. I have myself, the chief steward, a chief cook, and a second cook. And we just do it with a lot of love and care and make sure that everybody's happy and well fed. We use up to 150 dozen eggs per trip, up to 100 gallons of milk, a lot of veggies and fruits, a lot of snacks. Everybody's very pleased with what we usually put out. We also make sure that we do it in a loving way, in a sanitary way, in a safe way that keeps everybody from getting any tummy aches.
I'm about to enter the ship's bridge. It's like the Octopod's headquarters.
Octonauts to the HQ.
Ahoy, Captain.
Ahoy, Debbie.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Octocadets, meet Eric Johnson, the commander of the ship. Eric, can you tell us about what you do up here?
Absolutely. Hello, Octa Cadets. My name's Eric Johnson. I'm an O-Corps officer, and I'm the captain of the Okeanos Explorer. Welcome to my office. This is where we drive the ship. This is where we control the operations. We run the propellers that are underneath us in the back to the wheel up here at the front, which is where we steer. It's a pretty cool job. It's very exciting, and it's pretty beautiful around here as well.
So, Octocadets, now you know a little bit about the ship and how we explore the deep sea. I hope you enjoyed our time together. I'll see you next time.
Debbie, safety first.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Taking a look at the marine forecast, starting with the ice edge, we can see that in today's analysis, some fast ice in the Kotzebue Sound region, also in the Norton Sound region, that's starting to extend from the shoreline there. Also some pretty good ice development in the Cook Inlet region with some first year thin. Also with the forecast, we're going to be seeing some further extension of the ice edge further south across much of the Bering. For Wednesday's marine forecast for southeast, inside waters, mixed direction, either north or south, 10 to 20 with seas as high as 4 feet. Outside waters, winds generally from a southerly direction to 25 with seas as high as 10 feet. And for Thursday's marine forecast, inside waters, winds generally from the northerly direction, 20 to 35 with seas as high as 7 feet there in the Lynn Canal region. And for the outside waters, winds generally from a westerly direction to 20 with seas as high as 11 feet. For Wednesday's south central, for the Gulf region, looking at winds from a variable direction, 15 to 20 with seas as high as 9 feet, sorry. And in Prince William Sound, winds generally from the north at 15, seas as high as 2 feet. For the Cook Inlet region, winds generally from the north at 10 to 20 with seas as high as 5 feet in the central Cook Inlet region. And for South Central Thursday's marine forecast, looking at winds generally from the Gulf region out of the northwest at 15 to 20 with seas as high as 8 feet. And for Prince William Sound, winds generally from the northeast or northwest as well, 15, seas as high as 3 feet. And for the Cook Inlet region, winds generally out of the north at 10 to 20 with seas as high as 3 feet. For the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island region, winds around Kodiak Island generally from the northern direction to 15 with seas as high as 9 feet on the south side of the Kodiak Island region. And for the south side of the Alaska Peninsula, winds generally from the north at 15, seas as high as 10 feet, and the north side of the peninsula, winds variable direction 10 with seas as high as 5 feet. For Thursday, looking at winds generally from a easterly direction at 10, seas as high as 6 feet, and the south side of the Alaska Peninsula, winds generally from a southeasterly direction at 20, seas as high as 7 feet, and for the north side of the Alaska Peninsula, winds from the east at 20 to 25 with seas as high as 8 feet. For Aleutian Chain, Wednesday, winds generally from a southerly direction in the central and eastern Aleutians up to anywhere between 15 and 40 with seas as high as 18 feet just south of Atka and Adak. And for the western side of the Aleutian, winds generally from the west at 30 to 40 with seas as high as 23. So look for gales to storm force winds out there. And again on Wednesday. And for Thursday, winds generally from a westerly direction across the region. Anywhere from 25 to 30 with seas as high as 18 feet there between Shimmy and Kiska. Again, look for gale force winds there on Thursday. For Wednesday's marine forecast for West Coast, looking at anywhere variable direction, looks like 15 to 30 with seas as high as 8 feet just south of the ice edge. And for Thursday, winds generally from a easterly direction, 25 to 35 with seas as high as 16 feet just on the edge of the ice edge there. And for Arctic coast, for Wednesday on the Arctic coast there, winds generally from a easterly direction 15 to 20 down through the Chukchi Sea region, winds generally from the east at 30 to 35, and down through the Bering Strait, winds generally from the northeast 25 to 30. And for Thursday along the Arctic coast there, winds generally on the north at 15 to 20 through the Chukchi Sea coast, winds generally from the northeast at 30 to 35, and down through the Bering Strait, winds generally from the 30 to 35. And for tonight's weather, looking at an occluded front crossing the Aleutian chain, mixed precipitation, rain, snow, and mixed precipitation again with that, and another weakening low approaching the YK Delta with mixed precipitation in the Bristol Bay region, light snow showers along a trough that extends into Canada, and the next low coming into the Gulf with 995 millibar low, moderate to heavy rain there approaching Kodiak Island and portions of the Gulf region. And lastly, some snow showers along the north slope. And with
these forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.